Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. And today I want to talk about why I was mostly wrong about my Banjo-Tooie review. I reviewed it a little while back. I ended up ultimately giving it a gold ranking, but I was teetering on giving it a silver because it felt tedious, it felt like an overly ambitious sequel, it wasn't that fun to complete for me, and so I struggled a lot with giving it a high rank, but ultimately because of how well it controlled, a lot of the mechanics they introduced, and again, a bigger, better world in a lot of ways, I ultimately said, you know what, I'll give it a gold rank. But I have some new impressions after playing the Xbox One version, the rare replay version that was a port of the 360, which was also a port from the Nintendo 64. So I played the Rare Replay bundle, I played through Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie on the Xbox One, and I have some new impressions. First and foremost, the game is so much easier on an Xbox controller than on a Nintendo 64 controller. Oh my goodness, the new controller and the new, the way that you can aim and everything is just substantially better. They also improved the visuals, everything is just a smoother experience from start to finish. These are definitely the best place to play the Banjo-Kazooie games on the Xbox 360 versions. So that cleared up a lot of the problems I had. Some of my problems had to do with the aiming in the game, and especially in some places like Jolly Roger Lagoon, where I'm supposed to do really precise shots of these octopuses to try and freeze them. Other places like mini games that utilizes the eggs in a big way, or some of the boss fights where you have to be really technical about where you're aiming, were really frustrating for me, and I really hated those things. In the Xbox version, I found myself getting through them very quickly, and they weren't tedious or boring. In fact, they were kind of fun. So the aiming made a huge difference for me. So for the 360 version here, or the Rare Replay version, it is much better using this Xbox controller. I will say that the aiming makes the game substantially better overall, because Banjo-Tooie has a heavier emphasis on utilizing eggs and utilizing more shooter controls. It also makes the sections where you do the Doom style with the Breagle Blaster, makes those sections much easier as well. So a lot of my gripes are circumvented by better controls. So if you're playing the Xbox version, you are getting a superior version overall. I truly believe that. Playing the old Nintendo 64 one, I am inclined to say that one is not a great game, just because of how hard it is to manipulate the Nintendo 64 controller compared to the Xbox controller. It's nice to have some perspective here. I played Banjo-Tooie fairly recently, and then I replayed it again on the Xbox and having just a much better time. Part of my gripes with it as well, I think, came from the fact that I played Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie back to back, all by myself. I had done a big collectathon. It was my first time fully completing Banjo-Kazooie, had a great time with it. Banjo-Tooie had so much backtracking and so much stuff, it just felt like a bit of a slog after already doing a collectathon, so I think that's part of the problem. Even worse, I had just done Donkey Kong 64 not too long prior to that, so really it was probably my own fault. I was getting a little bit fatigued on the Rare formula on the Nintendo 64, so I think that was part of the issue as well. But also, I'm having a lot more fun exploring all these huge worlds. The backtracking isn't nearly as bad as I previously remembered. Some of the things also that would have made my first playthrough better are some of the hidden stuff that you can do. Primarily getting a goldfish at the beginning of the game. Once you unlock an upgrade for the jumping in the air and using Kazooie to break things, you can hold it and it turns into a drill and you can break open rocks. You find a goldfish toward the beginning of the game, or this big rock that you can't break open at the beginning of the game that holds a goldfish under it. Once you get that and put it back in the water, it expands your ability to breathe underwater and gives you the option to swim faster. I hate Jolly Roger Lagoon, at least I hated it, because it was so unfun to swim through. It was so slow and boring. I did not like the swimming from Banjo-Kazooie, and this is much worse because you have a whole water world this time. If I had just known, or taken some time to find it, and there are some other things that I'm guilty of not reading all the signs, some of the signs will clue you in to tell you that you can do this, I would have had a better experience. I still think Jolly Roger Lagoon is the worst area in Banjo-Tooie by far, but I just barely finished that, recompleted the game, recompleted that area, had a fun time. Honestly, wasn't that bad. Didn't take me that long. Revisiting the area wasn't that bad. So I think I just missed out on one of these key mechanics that's kind of hidden away. But again, this is mostly my fault. I should have either read some more of the signs or done some more research. And again, I think it was because I was fatigued. I just wanted to get through as fast as I could the first time I played Banjo-Tooie. So I was just a little bit burnt out. But having this little extra bit of knowledge and having the extra swimming speed makes this game so much better. I can't overstate how much better this game is because of that. Now, the mini games, I still have some gripes with. The mini games kind of repeat themselves. They're a little bit different, but the format is the same every single time. So you have a blue, a green, and a red enemy, or a hoop, or something to do with each of the mini games that you find in all the worlds. And getting the blue ones is 3 points, the green ones is 2, and the red ones are 1 point. It's fairly samey, even though the gameplay is a little bit different depending on which area you're going to. It mixes it up enough. They are a little bit samey. You kind of know what to expect going into each and every one, and most of them are pretty easy. I think that's my biggest gripe, is that they're just too easy. There's like a spaceship area in the witchy world where you like fly in a flying saucer and you go through the entire world doing target practice, essentially. That one is really difficult. I actually had to do that one twice. I almost had to do it 3 times because it was so dang hard. I barely got it the second time. I really thought I was going to have to do it over again. So that one was hard. Didn't feel as fun as the other ones. So I think the ease was maybe a little bit better than the other ones. My favorite one, I think, has to be actually, this one didn't have anything to do with the color coordination. I think that's why I really liked it. We have to shoot puzzle pieces on the wall and get as many as you can. And you can do an extra challenge trying to get all 100, which is really difficult. It was really fun. Again, with improved aiming, this was substantially better. So my gripes with Banjo-Tooie originally were that, a lot of the things were frustrating. The backtracking was frustrating. The world was too big. The worlds were too big and tedious to go back and backtrack. Now that I've played it through once, playing through a second time, I got all the upgrades. I just did as much as I could in each world. Didn't stress about getting every single jiggy, because that's typically what I like to do. Like in Banjo-Kazooie, you kind of can just do that. I think there's only one world where you have to get a power-up from another world to backtrack to get the final jiggy in a previous world. Not a big deal in that game at all. You can pretty much get everything your first pass through. This game, you cannot do that, and you have to know that going forward. I think I put too much time into trying to get every single thing right away, and that really frustrated me. This game has lots of different side quests that utilize like the train, which is an excellent mechanic, by the way. I don't think I gave it enough credit in my original review. The train you can unlock via a boss fight that's very fun, and then it transports you between worlds. So there's a huge overworld to travel between worlds with little warp points that you can utilize to get into each world a little bit easier, or you can use the train to go straight from one world to another world, which is an ingenious mechanic. Some of the jiggies even are locked behind utilizing the train, or some of the areas you have to use the train to get into. I actually think it's fantastic. I did not give it enough credit in my original review. Same thing with the warp pads in each world. Utilizing the warp pads is almost essential to traveling around because the worlds are so much bigger. They're so much easier too. Swapping between Banjo and Mumbo was super easy once you unlock all the warp pads. Getting Humba transformations and everything just works so much better once you utilize those warp pads, and I did not utilize them enough, and that's what made my experience a little bit longer and more frustrating as well. So utilizing those more effectively this time around was really, really fun. I think the boss fights are pretty good, pretty inventive. I think they're a little bit long. Some of them are really long. The fight with Terry, I initially was like, wow, why is this so flippin' long? I wasn't using the right eggs. You can use the grenade eggs instead of regular ones and knock out several hits in one. I also criticized the egg usage in this game, or the different egg abilities that you get. You get fire eggs, grenade eggs, ice eggs, and the little ones where you get like a mechanical guy that runs around and you can blow it up, a little mechanical Breagle. I criticized it because I said you pretty much get this, you use it once and you never use it again. That's not exactly true. I still think it's maybe a little bit bloated, but I like the variety. I like that there are enemies that are weak to stuff like the fire hands and Hailfire Peaks. You can hit with freezing eggs and it destroys them. No idea the first time around. I was just avoiding them and getting hit by them every time. You have other things like the little mechanical kazooies are really useful for getting certain like side quests and everything. I just forgot a lot about that when I initially did my review, and I think I was just a little bit jaded. So a lot of those things that I had problems with, what I'm saying is they aren't actually that big of a problem from my original review. So I'm going to be revising my review here. I'm not sure if I want to give Banjo-Tooie a platinum rank. I don't know if it does enough to set itself apart from the original Banjo. I know it's much bigger and everything. I don't know if my platinum rank I usually like to reserve for things that do something big for its franchise or do something big for the genre as a whole. And I I almost want to say Banjo-Tooie does. Banjo-Tooie feels like it should be sitting right up there with Banjo-Kazooie, with DK64, with Conker's Bad Fur Day. So I am inclined to say that this game deserves a platinum rank instead of a golden rank. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sold either way. I'm going to say for right now, I'm going to revise it and say it's a platinum. It sits right up there with Banjo-Kazooie. It's got a lot more content in it. You're going to spend almost twice as much time doing everything. And honestly, a lot of the side quests are really fun. Utilizing stuff between worlds, like some of the jiggies you can only get by doing like a belated side quest that involves you going to different worlds, doing a lot of different things, almost fetch questy sometimes, but usually it's just unlocking doors and doing these little extra stuff and seeing how it all pieces together. It's actually really cool, and I like how brilliant it is to bring it all together. I think Rare did a great job with that. So yeah, I'm going to revise it and say this is a platinum rank game. I was mistaken my first time around, or the Nintendo 64 version really is just that much worse than the Xbox One. I think the improved aiming is a huge thing. Part of the reason that I also really enjoyed this time was I played it with my kids, and that was really fun. I didn't before. I played it on I just played it by myself, and so it was just a little bit better of an experience for that reason as well. But I think overall, I just was more prepared to go into Banjo-Tooie. I wasn't fatigued. I was ready to play this one, and I really enjoyed it. So let me know in the comments down below if you like Banjo-Tooie, if you've played the Xbox ones and the Nintendo 64 ones, if you agree with my analysis. I'd really love to hear your opinion. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.